Hi, welcome to another video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. Um, I was just sitting here again watching the video, and every time the person says a word with the letter P in the beginning, they would be honking their horn. Okay, so again, I talk about certain letters that they use to target you with, right? The letter T, the letter P, the letter A, the letter B. And I'll give you an example and how they do it. So early on in my targeting, right, random people would just stop in front of me and bend over. And I talked about this where when I was working, I would go out to lunch, go to a McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's to get something to eat, right? It's not every day, but when I do go, they will send a whole bunch of teenage girls to come and ask me questions, right? And I would just ignore them, wouldn't answer them, what have you, and it's like really silly questions, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the time? Well, you have a phone. I see you have a phone in your hand, right? Your phone has the time on it, so So anyway, so they would get these teenage girls to come, stand, ask me questions, and then one of them would they will sit at a table in front of me, right? And one of them will literally bend over on the table, like her top part of her body, upper waist, will literally bend on her body, right? Just as how people out there, random people would stop if I'm walking behind them, and they always bending down to tie their shoes. Okay, so when that was happening, uh, there's a my inner voice, a loud, when to speak, you have a loud inner voice and your regular inner voice, right? So meaning that we tend to say things, I mean, you don't really hear it because it's not vocalized, but I think you get the picture, right? So when you say certain things and you say it in a loud manner in your inner voice, so when they do that, again, this is because this is being put into your mind by the technology, right? Silent sound spectrum, where they can set, put words, phrases, whatever into your mind, but you're hearing your own voice. So when that was happening, just loud voice in my mind would be like ass, right? Just as how they use the fire trucks with the fire trucks, but the difference is with the fire trucks, what they would do, they would open the door of the fire truck. There's a door and it has the stop sign, right? So this is how they do things, right? So the word, the letter P. So I said every time they, and this is recently, okay, the letter P, with the letter T. So before I get into that, the letter T, when people used to, I'll be on the train, random people come to me, oh, do you have the time? Do you have the time? Do you have the time? What time is it? What time is it? And they would bypass everybody and they would come towards me. And at that time, I was being heavily harassed by members of the NYPD. Okay, and so people just coming at random. Then all of a sudden, it stopped. It went on. This went on for about 3 or 4 months, right? Then they stopped. Then I go to pick up my son. Police would approach me and they would look at their watch, and then look in my face, and then they'll walk off. Well, after that, remember, this is all conditioning. Now, whenever I'm watching a video, television, cable, have you, and the word, any word that starts with a T, they started with either siren or car honking, right? So recently they started doing the P. So what I had to do was basically recondition my mind to whatever they put in it to do something different, right? To think of something different, replace what they put in with what I'm going to put in. So when I hear the word P and they start with the honking or the sirens, okay, I will substitute, whatever it is that they try to put in my mind. So when they say that, I'm usually thinking about perfection. I'm usually thinking about certain things, and it has to do with giving you that inner confidence, right? Not the false sense of confidence that they try to do. They try when they try to play good cop, bad cop, to give you a false sense of confidence. Okay, because of, again, they've manipulated you, manipulated your mind, your psyche, um, through the brainwashing process, right? And so they try to give you a false sense of confidence to say, well, you know, we can reverse the negative brainwashing, okay, and then there's nothing wrong with this individual, okay. But again, it's a false sense of confidence. You don't really have confidence, because the minute uh, they um, they can switch it around, and you lose that confidence, right? So this is what I did as a TI, doing, again, understanding, by studying this program, researching about it, researching about psychological programs, psychological tactics, brainwashing tactics, and stuff like that, and being able to uh, change those negative uh, uh, themes, those negative associations, with something that's positive. So they've been doing a lot lately with words beginning with the letter P and words beginning with the letter T. So for the T now, as I was telling you, so the T, they keep asking me for time. They're like, time, and I'm like, time what? Time? Are you gonna come knock on my door? What is it about time? That sort of thing. So this is what they're doing, right? And a lot of people don't understand this. I was taught. I think I've said this story many times. This was in 1999, I believe. I was talking to, 1999. I was talking to, this girl, young lady, I should say, actually a young woman, you know. And I remember she came to my apartment, okay, and it's always weird how some of these things happen, right? And again, you never really thought about these things. You never really think about these things, right? So she came, um, and she was looking at me, uh, very strange. And then she started like crying, like tears coming out her eyes. And I'm like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Are you okay? And she kept looking at me, and she's like, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm so, okay, you can't be okay because you're crying. So what is it? So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, but I've seen this many times, right? And the people who have dated, how they look at you. For example, I'll give you another example. When my son Ethan was born, um, uh, you know, Pam gave him her last name, right? So I guess because we had issues, what have you. So when we was rectifying issues, stuff like that, we went back to the hospital to add on my last name onto Ethan's birth certificate. We paid the money, gave them the form. Okay, when they send us, let me go back. So she was supposed. So we were going to the hospital. I told her we were supposed to meet up. I left work and she left work. And when I got there, she had this strange look on her face. She looked at me, and her eyes watered up. And again, I said to her, I said, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. What have you?" But again, it was that strange look, and I never could, like I said, when I look back at these things that's happening, I understand now because my brother was targeted. We're twins, so they were targeting me also. Okay, and like I said, it was just weird, right? So these weird things that keep happening. You know what I'm saying? Just as how my social security card was stolen, okay, and I believe it was Bryce's mother at the time, and and at the time we wasn't even in a relationship yet, okay. We were just she came over one day. I mean, we were from before. She came over one weekend, and we watched a movie, we spent the night together, such and such, and she left the next day. I mean, we still was communicating and stuff like that. Eventually we got to end up being in a relationship again, right? But prior to that, right? But I mean, not prior to that, but after that, right? I was like, where is my, the theft of my, so then when she decided to put me on child support, right? Uh, you know, I'm saying to myself, did she knew what she was doing and she stole my social security card? Stuff like that. So stuff like that kind of runs through my mind when I think back about what's happening prior to me becoming aware that I was being targeted. Okay. Now my brother was being targeted before that. He never really explained to me because again, what they try to do to you is to keep you silent. And then they'll threaten, like for example, if you have, and I'm sure they were um, giving him subliminal message that they were going to do this to me because he ended up saying to me, he said, when I told him what was happening, he was like, yeah, I've been going through this shit for years and no one was wanting to believe me. And he was like, yeah, he's like, when I went to the psychiatrist and talked to her, and it's like, well, they diagnosed with mental illness, and they were like, well, he was like, well, how come my brother don't have an extra? And they were like, the psychiatrist was like, oh, he will later, he will. So those things have always, like I said, just going through these things, thinking about these things, I understand, especially what they're doing to my kids now. So I know my kids will be targeted in the future. They will be set up in some way heavy. That's why, again, I had to study this program. That's why you see, I document things when they bully my kids, because when my kids get older, they will see these things and they will understand what's happening, and they will know exactly how to fight back and not fall into the traps because they didn't know. Okay, so they will know, right? So again, so like I said, so with these things that they do, understand that it's the condition, it's the programming. This is why, like, for example, words like, any word that's not with W, they would horn, or police sirens, right? Again, W. So what have I been talking about for the past couple of years, right? When I'm walking, people will look at me and look up at the windows in the building, right? So again, you associate that, right? So if they make you feel like you're in some type of competition or in some type of race or what have you, you know, that's why they look at the windows, like, look at the window, the word win is in there. So now anywhere that has the W in there, they will horn their horn of sirens, and they haven't won anything. Okay? See, what it is that they keep people ignorant to what it is that they're doing. But they don't tell people how they have drugged you, right? Manipulated you in ways that, they're not going to talk about, right? Because they understand that the people who they get involved in this stuff, and particularly when you don't know as an individual, and they can manipulate you to try to get you to do things that's illegal and horrible, and some people end up doing those things, and I don't blame them. I don't not blame them, but I don't fault them, right? It is of no fault of their own. They have been manipulated by a process, a psychological process, okay, and they've been getting away with this, right? And this is why, I fight every single day, because once you start to realize what it is that these people have been doing, okay, for a long time to individuals. This is why I talk about with the FBI, how they manipulate young black men with mental illnesses, right? How they go after those men because those are easy prey for them. See, then they want to turn around and call you a predator as a TI, or me, I'm a predator. They're the predators, okay? They're the ones talking about, let's go on the hunt. We're hunting niggas. They're the ones that's saying it, okay? So when they want to talk about us TIs, and try, especially as male and as a black male, they try to use that predatory language about black male are predators. The predators are the white supremacists, the white police officers. Those are the predators. Go look at their history. Okay? And then to have the black police officers engaging in this shit, again, shows you how deep brainwashing is. This is why I study psychology, read up a lot about, psychological conditioning techniques, tactics, all that stuff. Right? Because once you start to understand how they use psychology to manipulate people, and the people who are the perps out there standing in the corner, you see them wearing whatever colors they try to target you with for the day, and doing these hand signals, and then they turn around and tell you, well, no one can manipulate me. That's the power of psychological conditioning. When you manipulate people and make them believe that no one can manipulate them, that brainwashing is not real. This is what they have done, and this is what they continue to do. Okay? And this is why I continue to do my video, despite the threats, despite whatever. Like I said, you can show up at my door. You know where I live. I'm not running anyway. Okay? And don't feel because, I may be affected by your targeting. Anybody would. You know what I'm saying? Anybody would. When there are times when I'm in the house and you're talking so much, and I'm scared, that's just a natural human emotion. But guess what? You find a way, you find the courage. So there's the feeling of fear, and there's the feeling of courage that comes after. So as a TI, don't let them make you feel because you're afraid that means you're guilty or whatever. No, it isn't. When you're being attacked with weapons, where you might, I get to her in a minute. So when they're targeting you with these weapons, invisible weapons, and they're manipulating you, and you're getting these headaches and whatever else, when you're getting vibrations throughout your body, it's a natural response that you're going to be afraid, right? And built in within us naturally is the fight or flight phenomenon. They know this. Okay, so it's perfectly okay for you to be afraid. It's a natural human emotion. It's perfectly okay for you to be jealous. It's a natural human emotion, as long as you don't take it to a degree where you're hurting somebody else. Okay, it's okay to feel ashamed because that's part of a human emotion. It's okay to feel confident because that's all part of a human emotion. It's okay to feel proud, to have pride and be prideful and be proudful. It's okay for those things. So don't let them. And it's okay that when you're angry, that you can curse, you can display that anger. It's perfectly okay. Don't try to make them make you into this because they've been trying to use the theme this robot theme, trying to remove your human emotions like love, all those things, right? Trying to turn you into this hateful person, and then they'll come around and be like, "Hey, man, look at this gun. Do you want to buy it? Want to buy it?" To try to get you into, buying a gun and taking it out on the people, who are targeting you. This is how they create those types of personalities. All right. So anyway, so remember back, I talked about my other niece's daughter who was always here, one that's being very disrespectful. Well, she's not here anymore. She doesn't come around anymore. But now they got her older sister to come around here now. Right? On top of that, when I go to pick up Ethan, there is always this young woman that comes. Well, not always. I haven't seen her in a while. Right? But she looks just like my other niece. Her name is Michaela. Right? So from time to time, they will get family members, and it's all because I'm a male. So they're always going to use females, right? Because again, they have narrative that they want to play out, certain themes that they want to play out. Okay, so like I said, so they'll try to use young teenagers, young women, that sort of thing. As a TI, you have to understand these things, right? So I talk about these things because like I said, my part of my job after going through this and continue to go through this is to expose these people in every single way, regardless of the cost. I say so when they send me the subliminal thrust, I'm walking down the street late at night coming home or what have you, I know there's a chance that they might kill me, but it's bigger than me. And I'm not saying I'm sacrificing myself. I'm not. When you speak the truth, you're not sacrificing yourself. You're speaking the truth. Those who are afraid of the truth, of you speaking the truth, they're the ones that are sacrificing you if they do anything to harm you. Right? That's what they're doing because they're trying to hide the truth from what it is that they're doing. And a big part of it, religion gives them excuse to do what they're doing. Now, not only religion, but when they are in positions of authority, that gives them excuse. Right? Because with that position of authority, they feel they have power and they can dictate, and label you without any question. And that is the danger. Okay? So when you see it, so when I talk about, white supremacy and racism, I know what I'm talking about. Because these racist people, they are in positions of power. And they can manipulate you, manipulate me, they can lie. How many... I live in New York City. The NYPD lies. Police officers lies. How many videos you seen police officers planting drugs on people? Right? Right now in Queens, they had to dismiss over 500 cases because of crooked police officers, right? The majority of people on the police force are racist, even the black ones. because the black ones are conditioned to see us black men with the same mindset as these white supremacists. So it doesn't matter if they grew up in the same neighborhood with you or they know you. See, once they have that position of authority, the narcissistic, the dark personality triad become a means and a way in which those at the top can condition these people into becoming. Understand that. Okay, because they all have to have the same personality type to do what they're doing. And they're conditioned that way. So it doesn't matter if they're black, Asian, Hispanic, white, what have you. The vast majority of them have the same mentality. Okay? And the ones that don't are the ones that they want to remove from the police force. So what do? They remain quiet when they see their fellow officers committing crimes against civilians. Understand how these things work. Okay? You can read Nietzsche. You can go and read Deception of Evil, the Peck Analysis of the Deception of Evil. Read those. You will be surprised. Okay? And you have a better understanding. So yeah, sorry for sidetracking about that. So so when they again certain words begin with certain letters, they'll use the Kahunk and Osiris. And I said I got to do a video on these things, but as you see it, busy. I'm suffering from insomnia because being hit with these directed energy weapons. So it's difficult, right? Like I haven't even cut my hair. I haven't even done it. I haven't even get a haircut, right? So until I can find the time and where I can do those things, I'll do it. But I do, excuse me, I'm burping here. But I do want to make the type of videos that I said I want to make. You know what I'm saying? And they know this, and this is why they keep messing with my computers. This is why they keep targeting me. This is why, I have a very difficult time sleeping. Right? Because being hit with these weapons, this is what they do. Okay? So, yeah, I just want to, just sitting here, it's like, because I'm watching the video and, they keep hearing the sirens. And again, very low frequency now. Okay? Trying to be very subtle and very covert, even more covert. Okay? So, yeah. This is what, like I said, you can come knock on my door any day. But you see me walking on the street, you can come stop me, but you better have a warrant, Mr. Officer or Miss Officer, whatever. And when you decide that you're going to use children to target my children, I'm going to record it because I have a right. Okay? And I know my rights. Another thing is T.I., know your rights, because what these people do is that they prey on the fact that you're ignorant to the law. They prey on that. And when you know your rights and you confront them, okay, and then and they violate your rights, they have to understand that in the end, they're the one that's going to be wrong. Okay? So, these, I talked other video, I said, Zersa Zoom, COINTELPRO, these programs are still alive today. Illegal experimentation, still alive today, done by the U.S. government. The same government that will chastise other countries for doing what they're doing. So I need you to actually think about that. All right? And do your research, study your conditioning, study this program, and if you can and you have the courage to expose it, do so. If you don't have the courage to do so, it doesn't mean that you're a coward. Okay? It doesn't mean that. What it means is that they have manipulated and damaged your psyche so bad that you're, in a state of being afraid. But there are those of us out there who will fight for you. And don't think any less of yourself. Because to go through what you're going through and still be alive, that takes courage. Okay? It takes a lot of courage. So whether you're exposing them or not, you still have courage. And it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be angry about your targeting. It's perfectly okay. Don't let other people tell you that it's not. Don't let other people tell you, just think happy thoughts all the time. No. Our minds are not built to think happy thoughts all the time. Particularly even living in a society like this. And in today's society, in today's world. Okay? Alright, talk to you guys in the next video.